Hi everybody, Kirsty, Goddess of Neptune here. I hope you're doing well. We have a blue super full moon in Pisces taking place on the 30th or the 31st of August, depending on where you are in the world. For those of us in the UK, it's happening on Thursday, the 31st of August at 2:35 a.m. So I'm going to pull up the chart and just show you what I found with regards to the transits that are going on. We are in the midst of retrograde season. Today, as I'm recording this on the 29th of August, Uranus is another planet that is now retrograde. So this period of time that we've been going through is certainly one of introspection. Where are we taking stock of what needs to be reflected upon, and what changes do we need to make as a result of this heavy introspection? We know we're on a transformation journey. I've said that many times in other astrology reports. So this is why the energy is kind of working with us and for us at this moment in time, although it can feel challenging when we're in retrogrades, because of course it causes a little bit of disruption, but it's to force us to go within and to truly understand what needs to change and why things are coming up at this time. So with this blue super full moon in Pisces at the end of August, again for the UK it's the 31st of August, early hours of the morning, it's bookended August with the other full moon that we had at the beginning of the month. And that's why this one is a blue super full moon, because we've had two in the same month. I'm a Pisces. This is a full moon happening in my sign. I'm very sensitive to the lunar energy, and others out there may also resonate with that. So this can heighten sensitivities when it comes to our emotions. It's the moon. It can also illuminate things for us, because we know the full moon in the sky, certainly when we're seeing it on a dark night, it lights up the sky. So this is all about illuminating what needs to be illuminated. And in Pisces, this is regards to our spiritual truth, the divine. It is that sort of, the deep-rooted subconscious stuff that needs to be reflected upon, needs to be illuminated. And let's not forget that the lunar energy is there to support us releasing on a full moon. So as well as things being illuminated for us, and that could be a number of things, we're also being asked to release what is not serving us. Full moon in Pisces, what's not in alignment with our spiritual truth, what's not in alignment with our soul, what needs to be released. And as we look at the chart, we understand what else is going on with the planets. That can help put the pieces of the puzzle together in order to understand in our own lives what it is we do need to release and what it is we're trying to evolve and change and transform on this journey of healing. So without further ado, let's jump into the chart. And I'll pull up the chart first of all as an event. Okay, so you can see lovely colourful chart as in my usual style. And we've got different colours going on here. So as I mentioned, for the UK, this blue super full moon in Pisces is happening on the 31st of August at 2:35 a.m. And you can see with the yellow lines, here we have the moon, 7 degrees of Pisces. And we know that Saturn is in Pisces, retrograde at the moment, serving up lessons, serving up karmic returns, and of course, getting us in alignment with our spiritual truth. And Neptune is also in Pisces, its home sign. So there is an ethereal presence to this energy. But we need to be mindful with Neptune, especially with Neptune in retrograde, where we're reflecting on things. Where might there have been illusion, confusion, or deception, including self-sabotage? And because we're, being asked to get in alignment with our spiritual truth because of what Saturn is doing, this is helping us understand where we might have deceived ourselves in the past. So the energy is working for us, but it can be quite harsh in terms of the sensitivity because it's Pisces. And the moon being here, the full moon at this point in Pisces, that is the most sensitive place for the moon to be. It can be an empathic place, but it's sensitive nonetheless. And we've got that opposition with the sun, of course, because that's what happens with the full moon. So the sun is over here, 7 degrees 25, exact opposition, sun in Virgo. And the sun being in Virgo, that's the soul essence of the cosmos being in Virgo. So we're in Virgo season, and happy birthday to all you Virgos out there, by the way. This is time to take stock and clean house, metaphorically speaking, or literally, because doing the housework can help clear things out. We're clearing space. This is more about the metaphorical meaning in terms of our lives when it comes to our spiritual truth. What do we need to get in order? You know, when we use the expression, let's get our house in order, let's get things in order of what we need to sort out. It's grounded energy, but it's Virgo energy, and the Virgo energy likes to feel in control. So this is all about wanting to be in control of where our soul is leading us. And at this moment in time, opposite the moon in a sensitive place of Pisces. So a lot could be coming up about, I need to feel in control of this, but my emotions are actually telling me I need to release something else because it's no longer serving me. And, oh, I might be having a bit of a, challenging time of that because it's acceptance of that. That's just one scenario to give you an example of the opposition energy. But ultimately, when we're utilizing that energy to work for us, we can understand that it's quite harmonious, because when we know what we need to clean up when it comes to getting things in order, when it comes to, our daily routines and our schedules, which is, of course, the 6th house, which is what Virgo rules, then there is naturally going to be some emotions attached to that, especially if it's something that needs to change or something that needs to release that we've been familiar with for quite a long time. And that can be emotional to release. And also it can be emotional having these things illuminated to us. But we need to have the light shone on it for us to make changes. And the energy is calling for change at this moment. It's been calling for change for a while. But now, Virgo energy, let's get things in order. Let's get things sorted out. Let's put practical plans in action. Let's manifest our reality. We want the grounded reality. And we've got here the Virgo energy, the grounded earth energy, opposite the Piscean energy, which is the ethereal. 5D versus 3D, folks. We need to blend the two. We've got to understand our spiritual truth to then manifest the reality we want to see in our 3D reality. And we've got other energy going on in Virgo. Of course, we've got Mercury in Virgo. And Mercury is currently retrograde. And you can probably feel that, because that can bring up communication issues. It can bring up travel disruption and technological issues. Mercury retrogrades are often feared, but again, like any retrograde, it's time for introspection. And this is about, again, that introspection in terms of our communication and our expression and our thoughts, Mercury, when it comes to this reality that we want to see and we want to manifest for our lives. We've got supportive feminine energy there with Pallas also in Virgo. And we've also got Lilith there, and Lilith is bringing up the shadow side. So again, it's working for us because we need to balance the light and shadow. We need to understand where fears and doubts are coming up in order to then accept, process, transmute, etc., in accordance with all this energy to get us in alignment with our spiritual truth. This is all stuff that we need to release. Fears, doubts, anxieties, worries, but it can be heavy. So, hence why this full moon in Pisces can be quite sensitive, conjunct with Saturn there, 4 degrees off. So it can be quite, heavy energy going on. And, let's jump into the other aspects that I've got here. We're talking about challenging energy. So let's go for the square. It's a bit of a wonky line here. Apologies for that. But here we have the North Node in Aries. Okay, and there is a square to Pluto, and that is in Capricorn. So Pluto is in Saturn's house at the moment, helping clean house when it comes to our structures and our foundations almost, and perhaps rules that have been quite regimented that we're trying to break free from. We're trying to transform as part of this journey. And this square is a challenging aspect in astrology. So this transformation may be challenging our sense of purpose, our sense of direction in terms of our true north, our North Node, when it comes to our sovereignty. And that's because of this sensitivity that's going on and the fact that we need to clean house and get things sorted out. So yes, it requires this deep transformation. Pluto is deep. It's not surface level, it's deep. Pluto is the god of the underworld. So we're going to places that we maybe don't feel comfortable going to because it has to be sorted out. And that can challenge our inner authority, It can challenge our sovereignty, our empowerment, because it can often make us question, right, okay, is this the direction I'm going in? Is this my purpose? And we've got Chiron right next to the North Node. So this has been part of our healing journey in terms of healing our sovereignty, recognizing we are sovereign and we are worthy of what we want to manifest. But just a little bit of challenging energy to this transformation because of everything that we're having to deal with at this time, which is a lot of karmic stuff coming up to the surface, and the retrogrades, so the introspection. So we're having to face quite a lot, and that can be challenging for some, but it's all for a purpose. It's all to get us in alignment with our truth and our guiding light. So let's move on to the greens, because there were quite a few trines that I noticed that I wanted to draw your attention to. So Uranus, as I mentioned before, is now also retrograde. Okay, so Uranus is over here and in Taurus, so that's worth and values, as is Jupiter. And there is a trine from Uranus going across to Mercury, and also where Pallas is as well, in Virgo. So even though, you know, we're in Mercury retrograde, we're also in Uranus retrograde. So this trine is saying to me, because it's my interpretation of this astrological information, that the introspection that's going on within our thoughts when it comes to what needs to change in accordance with our worth and values is actually being supported by this energy. We've also got this trine from Uranus across to Pluto. So that confirms that it's all part of this transformation, and Pluto is also retrograde, so it's further introspection. So it can feel heavy energy because we're having to reflect, we're having to go within and go to the places that maybe we don't want to go to, but it's helping us understand what our worth and values are, and in turn our worth and values are helping us understand what needs to change. And again, let's work with the lunar energy to release what we know has, you know, not been serving us for a while and needs to evolve. So this trine is being supported. And then, of course, Pluto back across to Mercury. So the communication of this, yes, Mercury retrograde, so we need to be cautious of that. We need to make sure our messages are clear and understood where communication happens. But I feel this is about our thoughts. We want to feel, because we've got the Piscean energy, so we need to feel into the soul, but we also need to make sure that we then apply logic when it comes to things that need to change, because our heart and our soul and our intuition is going to guide us in terms of what needs to change. But then we need to express that. We need to get our head in line with our heart. So this is the harmonious energy that can come from that. We've also got a trine from Pluto going across to Mars in Libra. So Mars is now in Libra. So that masculine energy that we all carry within us, we've got masculine and feminine, regardless of gender, regardless of how one identifies. This is about that balance of the feminine, nurturing aspect, the creativity and the unconditional love, and the masculine, the taking action, the courage, the authority, that sort of thing. So we want the balance there. But the transformation is particularly being guided in a harmonious way through this trine with Mars, because Mars is in Libra. So there needs to be some balance. There needs to be justice. There needs to be equal give and take. But the masculine energy is going to drive the transformation, because we need to feel empowered to make the changes that we need to make. Okay. We've also got a trine going from Vesta in Gemini across to Ceres and the South Node, both in Libra. So again, you know, the South Node and Ceres in Libra, that essence of fairness and justice and equal give and take. We want balance, and we want balance in our foundations. The South Node is, of course, the South Node. So think of that as the foundations. And in Vedic, certainly with the, you know, the tail, and we've got the North Node as the head, the guiding light. Okay, so we're guiding ourselves towards the North Node, our true purpose. That's our direction. The South Node is there, but we're moving away from that towards that guiding light. And the South Node, although yes, at the foundations in that way, can be karmic stuff. It can be past life stuff. So there needs to be balance in that. And all this change and transformation is bringing balance, because we're cleansing karma. We're recognizing a lot of past life stuff that's coming up to be healed. And because Ceres is there with this conjunction 2 degrees off, there is supporting energy in terms of expansion of that, but also the feminine essence of the nurturing. So yes, it might be challenging to have all this karmic stuff coming up. It's got to be sorted. It's got to be cleared. Ceres is nurturing that energy and allowing for expansion of the fairness that needs to be brought in. And this is in trine to Vesta, which is the sacred flame energy. What sparks that within? This is all about Goddess Bridget energy. So this is about the sacred flame. What is it that lights the fire within? And how is that going to work in harmony to bring about fairness within our foundations? But also, when we are striving for what lights us up, and we've got that joy and that abundance because we're going after what we want, what are our desires in that way, we are naturally then cleansing karma that could have been coming up, that could have caused fears and doubts because of past situations or past life situations that we're trying to move away from. We're evolving, we're bringing back the fairness because we're doing more of what we love. Vesta energy, sacred flame energy. We are being driven more towards what we want, and in turn we're helping cleanse the karma and bring about the balance. And we're expanding upon that within our foundations. So that's very important to recognize as well. And it all starts from us. You know, what is it that we want to manifest for our reality, as I was saying earlier. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop sharing this one, and I'm going to bring up the chart against the UK's natal chart, which is what I do in these readings to provide some context. So the inner wheel is the UK's natal chart, and the outer wheel is the event we've just been looking at. So this is when you take two charts, layer them on top of one another. It's a freeze frame of the cosmos at the time of the full moon, and this is how it could be impacting the UK's chart. So when you think of the collective of the UK, for those it resonates with, in terms of the house system, so this is where we would look at the house system. Where is it happening, in what house, in what sign? And that can give us a really good insight into the collective energy for the UK. Anybody else watching it that it may resonate with, if there's a message in there for you, it's guided for a reason. But also when we look at our own natal charts, and this is where astrology is fascinating because it is, I believe, our soul's blueprint. And it can really show us, looking at our individual chart against the transits of an event, how that can relate to us on our journey. So bearing in mind, keep an open mind that this is collective energy, okay? But for a specific journey in terms of your own path, this is where we would look at your natal chart against the transits. Okay, so we've got the moon is actually going to be in the 9th house for the UK. Okay, so that is the house of learning and discovery. And the sun is opposite in the 3rd house of communication and expression. So that energy about the push-pull between, you know, the soul wanting to clean house, get things in order and have that feeling of being in control could be being challenged by what we're learning, what we're discovering, 9th house, of our emotions and feelings when it comes to our spiritual truth. Moon in Pisces, full moon at that. And that challenging energy of the square that I mentioned with the North Node, our guiding light, and the transformation that we're having to go through, that's happening in the 10th house and the 6th house. So when it comes to our daily routines, our schedules, where we're being of service to people, and even ourselves, but, you know, service to others predominantly, this is about, you know, what needs to transform in those areas and how that might be challenging our work situations, 10th house, our inner authority, 10th house, our social status, 10th house, how people see us in that way. When it comes to our sovereignty, and our healing journey is there as well, as I mentioned before. So there could be some challenging energy to that. But let's not forget the trine that's going from Pluto, okay, to Uranus, and Uranus is in the 11th house. So this is where change is being called for when it comes to connections with others. And Uranus has been in the 11th house for the UK for a while. So we know that connections with others need to change in some way. This is in accordance with our worth and values. Uranus in Taurus, 11th house, connections with others. So where might there be connections with others that need to change? Are your connections with others in alignment with your worth and values? Have you recognized on this healing journey that you're actually worth more than you thought you were? So in that respect, are people you're connected to no longer in alignment with that because you've evolved? It's looking at this through the microscope. It's looking at this under the spotlight of the full moon. This could be illuminating more. And that's why sensitive place for the moon to be in Pisces, but it's ethereal. So this is about spirituality, soul's truth. What is actually in alignment with my soul's truth? Are those connections in alignment with my soul's truth? No. Okay, they need to change or they need to be released. So it's looking at it like that. So it's feeling into it. What's in alignment with our soul's truth? Well, your soul's going to tell you that. Your intuition is going to tell you that. Your heart is going to tell you that. And then apply the logic in terms of what needs to be released, what needs to be transmuted, or simply, in this case, what needs to be evolving, because this is about change. Uranus is the planet of change. Also, with Pluto and the trine, we've got across to Mars, as I mentioned, and there is also to Mercury. So again, with the communication and expression, but the masculine energy, this is in the 3rd house. So this is that empowerment of wanting fairness when it comes to expression, when it comes to our thoughts, and when it comes to communication, and how the transformation journey can be best served in terms of the expression. And let's not forget, the sun is in the 3rd house, heightening this energy. Yes, we've got the retrograde, Mercury retrograde. So we need to be mindful of our communication, because misinterpretation, misunderstandings can be a part of this energy. But ultimately, this is about communication with ourselves in our thoughts. So again, allowing the heart and the soul to guide us, and then applying the logic when it comes to communicating with ourselves. You know, we want positive self-talk to our thoughts, and the sun heightening that in Virgo. So, you know, we want to feel in control. Yes, we want to feel in control of things. So if we understand what we feel, what our soul is telling us, what our heart is telling us, and we can apply that logic so that we feel in control of that, that's going to allow the Virgo energy to blossom. And we can clean house in that way, feeling in control. But ultimately, we're being guided from the heart, and we're being guided potentially, because of the full moon, from our emotions and our feelings, from the soul's emotions. Moon in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces, serving up lessons in the 8th house of power. So empowering us to make these changes, empowering us to communicate where we need to communicate, empowering us to clean house where we need to clean house, basically, and get things in order. There's also the trine, of course, with Uranus and Mercury and Pallas as well. So we know about the change with regards to connections with others. It all links in together. The transformation, the change when it comes to connections with others, how we are of service to other people, and what we need to transform in our daily routines and schedules to get that in order, to get things in order, and how we express that, how we go about that. Okay. We've also got Jupiter making that trine across to Mercury as well, which I didn't mention before when I had the other chart up, but, you know, making that same alignment there with Mercury. So again, that expansion when it comes to worth and values, there's hope as well with Jupiter, but there is great expansive energy. So this is expanding the energy to allow for this change. And in the UK's natal chart, we have Venus there, which is 1 degree away from Uranus, or should I say Uranus is 1 degree away from the UK's natal chart, Venus, to get it the correct way around, but ultimately there's 1 degree difference. So this is about, you know, the feminine essence within, again, the feeling, the guiding, the nurturing of what needs to change, and Jupiter expanding that energy to allow for that positive change to take place in accordance with our worth and values. We've also, for the UK, we've got this opposition energy, not only with the sun, but if I zoom in, we've got a bit of opposition energy here with the UK's moon. Now, there is 7 degrees difference because the UK's natal moon is 0 degrees Virgo, but it is still a moon in Virgo. And on top of that, we have Lilith. So in the 2nd house of worth and values. So basically, we've got this shadow energy on top of the UK's moon when it comes to worth and values. So everything I've just said about, you know, change that's needed in accordance with worth and values, well, Lilith could be bringing stuff up that's challenging that energy in terms of our feelings, and of course, feeling of being in control of our feelings, because it's Virgo energy in the moon. But ultimately, it's for our highest good, because Lilith is going to challenge that as a great teacher and is going to kind of remind us of these possible deep-rooted fears that we've been having and how they need to transform. So again, that full moon is shining a light on that because of the opposition energy between Pisces and Virgo. They're opposite signs. Okay. So that could be going on as well within the emotions, within the feelings when it comes to worth and values and what we're discovering about it, because it's 2nd house opposite 9th house energy. Okay. And then finally, we've got Vesta, as I mentioned, also in the 11th house of connections with others. So what lights us up about our connections with others? What connections light us up? What connections spark that flame? And where is the balance? Because, of course, Gemini energy there. And the trine going down to the 4th house, which is the foundation house. And that is where the South Node is. And Ceres, as I mentioned, you know, karmic stuff coming up that needs to be sorted and cleansed and cleared when it comes to our foundations. We want our foundations to be stable, because ultimately that's going to allow us to drive forward in the direction of our North Node. We need to feel stable in our foundations to have that equality, that equal give and take, that justice, that reciprocity, and, you know, the feminine energy of Ceres nurturing that, expanding that as well. And then opposite, you know, we're guiding towards that inner authority, that sovereignty. We are going through our healing journey and we're being empowered. We're feeling empowered. Saturn is in the 8th house as well. Empowerment when it comes to spiritual truth. But yes, there is, as a result, you know, the karmic energy coming up. And, you know, I feel that the deep transformation is going on. That's why we've got the square there between the North Node and Pluto, you know, is certainly bringing up deep stuff that could be challenging our purpose or the direction we thought we were going, because maybe this full moon is going to actually show us we were heading in the wrong direction. And that's, again, where the illumination comes in. Is that in alignment with your spiritual truth? Or as part of the Virgo energy, do we need to get things in order so you understand your true direction? And that can only come forth when we have things illuminated to us. And when we feel the challenging energy, because that makes us change things. If everything was just la, 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 would we ever change anything? So this is why it's working for us in this way. So I feel, you know, it's a positive, empowering full moon. I'm just going to stop sharing that. It's a positive, empowering full moon, but it can be heavy on the emotions because it's Pisces. Ultimately, this is about the soul's truth, the soul's essence. And we've got the sun in the opposite sign, as we know. So we want to feel in control, Virgo energy. We want to feel like we're in control of our own life. We you know, if we feel out of control of our own life, that's going to put us in a spin. We want to feel in control. And that's also what's going to help us head towards our purpose. But yes, the full moon could be illuminating that perhaps we were on the wrong path. And this is why it's been challenging the transformation journey. So now the light from the full moon has illuminated the truth. We know where we've got to clean house. We know where we've got to get things in order. And we can move in the direction of that inner authority, sovereignty. We can heal ourselves through this as well with Chiron there in Aries. This is about the self. We need to focus on us as sovereign beings. And when we do that, we are completing and cleansing karmic situations as part of our healing journey as well. Not without challenge, of course, because, you know, we need to accept what's coming up. We need to embrace what's coming up as part of the lessons that are being served upon us. But remember, you know, Saturn moved into Pisces on the 7th of March. So he's been there for a few months already, and he's now retrograde. So further introspection. And, you know, when he moved into Pisces, there was that kind of, and it was not long after a full moon in Virgo. I think there was 55 minutes between. And it was kind of like, and I said at the time in my report, the full moon in Virgo sort of like opened the door to the interview room, turned on the spotlight and said, right, okay, here we go. 55 minutes, Saturn is going to be in the room. 55 minutes later, after those preparations of having stuff illuminated, Saturn enters the room. Yeah, I'm in Pisces now. Have you learnt your lessons from the past 3 years whilst I was in Aquarius? No? Okay, let's go around again. Let's repeat those lessons in a different way, but they're the same lessons. Let's illuminate patterns. Let's understand why those patterns are coming up. Are they past life patterns that need to be cleansed once and for all in this lifetime? What's going on? We've had to really go within. It's deep energy. So it's been challenging, but it's all for our highest good. And Saturn is still, of course, in Pisces, getting us in alignment with our spiritual truth, serving up those lessons, serving up karmic rewards for lessons we have learnt and processed, transmuted, all of that stuff. So as part of this transformation journey, you know, if we're understanding what we need to transform, we're putting the wheels in motion to actually transform. Step at a time it can be, but it's still a step in that direction towards that North Node, towards that guiding light. But understanding that and acknowledging that is part of, you know, Saturn's going to be, whoa, okay, you've got it. You understand the lesson now. Let's utilize the energy to support you through what you're releasing, to support what you're doing, you know, whatever it might be, whatever the lesson might be, and understanding where connections with others need to change, understanding where change is needed, full stop, because we want to feel in control. Remember, Virgo season, we want to feel in control of our reality. But do we want to feel in control of a reality that is not in alignment with our soul? Because that's like a false reality, isn't it? Instead, let's use the sacred flame energy. Again, Goddess Bridget energy. Let's understand what lights that flame within, and let's understand who we're connecting to and with, who light the flame within, and let's continue more of that. That's going to help with that karmic situations that we need to resolve, we need to cleanse or understand. It's going to also allow us to break free from foundations that are not real, that are illusory. Because if we're doing more of what we love doing with people that we love doing it with, then that is naturally going to allow those ties that are not serving us to be severed. But we need to be in control of that Virgo energy. We also need to be in alignment with our soul's truth, Pisces energy. So let's use that energy to work together and not against one another. Okay, let's take a few cards from the Queen of the Moon Oracle, sovereignty right there. And let's see what we've got. You know, what do the collective need to know? For the super full moon, the blue super full moon in Pisces, what does the collective need to know for their highest good? Let's have a look. The collective need to know for highest good for the full moon. I suddenly feel quite congested, so there's definitely the need to release. Okay, we've got wisdom in reverse. I will put the cards up. Oh, yeah, that one definitely. Fear. And let's see if we've got one more. Oh, that one wanted to fly out, didn't it? Right, okay. Bottom of the deck, balance in reverse. So it may feel that it is a very kind of, you know, imbalanced situation at the moment. That's why we need to restore balance by releasing what is not serving us with the full moon energy, of course, and accepting what's being illuminated to us that may be out of balance. Underneath that, we've got attraction, and that's card 44, powerful angel number. So this is all about that law of attraction and manifesting the reality that we desire, as I mentioned. We can manifest our reality. We're very powerful in doing that. But remember, we can manifest negative as well as positive. And that's why we need to be in alignment with our soul's truth. And when we're in alignment with our soul's truth, of course, we're going to attract what's in alignment with our soul's truth. If we're acting out of fear, then it's going to be a different story. And we had the fear card come out. So I do feel that that's relevant. And it's sandwiched in between wisdom in reverse and resilience in reverse. And with resilience, I often think of the 10 of Wands in tarot, because it's about carrying a burdensome weight, okay, energetically speaking. This is about something needing to close out. And again, full moon's perfect because it's releasing energy. It's, you know, where do cycles need to close out? Where do patterns that are not serving us need to close out? And it's having the wisdom. So we need to accept what our soul is telling us, okay? That's the wisdom of the cosmos that's within us. There could be some fears around acceptance of that because it's in reverse. We've got fear in the upright. So fear is prominent here, but you see the light within? That's the light that's shining on the situation, and also the light that's emanating from us that can guide the way. So we need to accept the wisdom of what our soul is telling us, the wisdom bank within, and release the fears and drop any weight, any unnecessary weight that's not serving us, close out cycles that are not serving us, and instead bring about the balance that's needed, recognize that you can attract and create the reality that you desire for your life, and understand as well that boundaries are important. So this is about protecting your energy, but making sure that boundaries are key. And that could be relating to connections with others, because, you know, I mentioned about worth and values, connections with others. That's where Uranus is. It's also where Vesta is. So if things need to change within your connections with others, maybe it's just about boundaries. Perhaps it's just about putting up boundaries in a connection, and that's fine. Maybe it's about letting some boundaries down, as in letting your guard down, because with the Vesta energy there, it could be saying, well, that lights you up, that sparks the flame within, connecting with others in that way. And, you know, that's something you're really passionate about. You're doing it with people you're passionate about, and you're passionate about those people. And it could just be needing to let the guard down. So it's all about having healthy boundaries, but we don't want a brick wall there that's going to stop us engaging with what it is we love to do, and recognizing that there is a need to expect the unexpected. And this is all about releasing control. How interesting is this? Because Virgo is all about wanting to be in control. So, and it's a blue it's a blue moon card as well. So this is about understanding that, you know, we have these moments that can be unexpected, but they're fated moments. And this is a time at the moment with this transformation that there's a lot of fated moments happening. So expect the unexpected. There is a big message here I'm feeling intuitively about surrender. This is about not trying to overly control. And that's the difference between the Virgo energy of wanting to feel in control and actually controlling the energy. There is a fine line, don't get me wrong, but we want to feel the Virgo energy, okay? And I've got a lot of Virgo in my chart, and I'm a Pisces. So I've got that constant within me. So I resonate with this a lot, because the Pisces me, the ethereal, you know, 5D essence, needs to be brought down to reality every now and then. So the Virgo energy helps, but it works vice versa. Sometimes I want to feel too in control of things and I need to let it flow, Pisces energy. So there's a fine line here between feeling in control of what we're manifesting for our reality based on our soul's truth. So yes, okay, our soul is telling us this is what we need in our life. And if we feel in control of that because we accept it, we acknowledge it, we can then manifest that reality for us. But if we're trying to control a situation that is not serving us, what's that going to bring? More disruption, potentially, because it's not in alignment with our soul's truth. So that's what I feel with this one. You know, but healthy boundaries, and, you know, certainly because she's looking at that flower that's outside, and she's almost like gazing at it like she wishes she could touch it. So this is where it's important to have healthy boundaries. And that could be a simple change that's needed within a connection with someone else. But it's also about allowing the goodness in. It's not putting up the brick wall. It's allowing the sacred flame energy to come forth and establish those connections with others, or actually, you know, reinforce those connections with others, reignite those connections with others, whatever it is, in order to receive the goodness, the purity of that. And that's beautiful. And that's going to allow further attraction, because again, you're receiving the goodness of what it is you love doing. And that energy is going to emanate out, and the universe is going to respond and return more of that to you. And if you're learning all your Saturn lessons and you're doing your deep Pluto transformation, the universe is going to be incredibly happy, and you're going to receive an abundance of divine blessings because you're in alignment with your soul's truth. But if we're overly trying to control, again, remember the fine line, if we're overly trying to control and something's not serving us, then we're going to feel resistance. And that could be where this energetic, unnecessary energetic burden needs to be dropped. Cycles need to be closed out that are not serving us, and we need to release the fear of going into new cycles, and we need to acknowledge what fears are coming up in the first place, instead of kind of shutting them out and ignoring them, because we need to understand where they might be coming from. Lilith might be showing us that in terms of fears, the shadow aspects and all of that to deal with. It's all part of the healing journey. So we need to understand why it's coming up. Why is that fear keep coming up within me? Why do I keep going into that pattern of behavior that comes from a fear, a worry, or a doubt? Why is that? And then when you can introspect, remember retrograde season, and you can understand that, you're learning the Saturn lessons. Okay. So I wish you all the best for this blue super full moon in Pisces. And remember, 30th or 31st of August, depending on where you are in the world. For the UK, it is the 31st at 2:35 a.m. So set your intentions to receive that illumination of wisdom and clarity from the universe that you need, not that you want, that you need from the divine, and be open to receive that. And also be open to understanding what it is that you need to release, what's no longer serving you, what do you need to surrender? And, it could just simply be that over need for control, but at the same time, needing to establish control of your own reality, of what you're manifesting for your own reality by cleaning house. That is Virgo energy. That is, there's being of service, and we need to be of service to ourselves as well as to others. This is all about our healing journey, and we need to understand it starts with us. We've got to get our house in order. We need to get in alignment with our soul's truth. And the Virgo energy can help us with that, can help us ground in the reality that we want to receive for ourselves. But remember, our external reality is a reflection of our inner condition. So that's why it all comes from within. So I'm wishing you all the best for this upcoming full moon. Take stock this retrograde period. Go within, understand. Retrogrades can make the energy feel like it's slowing down, because it is. It's all for a reason. It's allowing us to take stock, and that's ultimately serving the Virgo energy of cleaning house and getting things in order. So it's all for our highest good. Sending you love and blessings. Until the next time, take care of you.